As West Virginia prepares to play their last regular season game of the 2023 college football season, the focus is now going to start shifting to the offseason and what's going to happen with the transfer portal. And it's time for Coach Brown and the players to start making some important decisions about who leaves and who stays. Mountaineer Paul and I are going to discuss just that, and we're going to talk about what players we think Country Roads Trust and the West Virginia football team needs to make a strong push to keep on this 2023 roster. And we're going to do it right after this word from my sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar, grab a chair, whatever makes you comfortable, and let me pour you out this shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap today at Couz's Corner, I'm bringing on a very special guest you all already know probably, Mr. Mountaineer Paul from Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Paul, how you doing?
Doing good, man. It's always great to be on with you, and this is a subject I think we're all extremely aware of. We're aware it's about to go down. We realize there's going to be some attrition here. Can't keep everybody.
Right.
But who are the number one guys, right? I think that's what we're going to get into.
Absolutely. Yep. Sure thing, man. That's who does the Country Roads Trust need to make a focus on as far as, who are the key players we want to try to keep on this roster that we don't want to lose. That's as they, come off what's likely going to be an 8-win season, maybe even a 9-win season. Momentum could be on our side. We got to keep that momentum by bringing in and keeping the right guys. And this video is going to focus on what guys to keep. I plan to do another video on what guys or what positions need to be filled through the portal, but from outside guys. But first, the first one I want to focus on, I think at the end of the day, it all has to start with the quarterback position. I think if there's a risk of losing Garrett Greene because of NIL money, I think you need to put a push to make sure he stays. So I want to ask you that question. Do you think that should be a priority? And two, do you also think Nicco should be a high priority along with Garrett? Do you think they should make a push to try to keep both guys on this roster?
And I'll add an option 3 to that. If either either A or B is in jeopardy, C, transfer portal for either a solid backup, kind of like Ole Miss did with Spencer Sanders. He didn't play a snap this year. Imagine that. Imagine a guy like Spencer Sanders, his resume, not playing a snap this year. Obviously, they're not going to get a player the caliber of a Spencer Sanders, most likely. But you've got to look at the landscape. If Nicco's going to leave, then you need to bring somebody in that can do what he did, right? Similar to him. You need, or even better yet, is somebody more like Garrett Greene that's right-handed. That way that you can run the same offense for both guys and the same direction. Obviously, he needs to be mobile. It wouldn't make sense to bring in JT Daniels or somebody like that. So unless it's just like some elite player that wants to come to West Virginia that you can't pass up,
right?
That would even maybe start over Garrett Greene, because there are players out there that if they were interested in West Virginia from one reason or another, you might have to look at, right? I mean, I think that's something that the coaching staff might not publicly say they're going to do, but you always try to get better at every position. That includes quarterback. That includes every position. Do I think that they're going to, not bring Garrett back? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that you have to do your diligence with it. So, but yes, he, to me, if I'm putting numbers on this, he's my number 2 priority on the entire team.
Okay,
that's for me.
Yeah. I've got him at number 1. You have him at number 2. This is all a matter of opinion, right? So, and both are very important. And my number 2 is probably your number 1, and that is left tackle Wyatt Milam. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'll let you explain where you have him in a minute. But Wyatt is my number 2 because without the left tackle, there's a reason the NFL pays their left tackles a buttload of money, right? It's an extremely important position, especially when you have a right-handed quarterback. You're protecting his blind side, and that's where a lot of teams bring their rush. Obviously, I was off the edge, so you've got to set the edge or protect the edge with that left tackle. And Wyatt Milam is one of the best left tackles, at least in the Big 12, if not in the country, and is going to be probably a highly touted guy coming in as far as the NFL draft prospect goes next season. So I think you've got to make sure, even though he's a West Virginia guy, we saw this past offseason, it's now become public knowledge. Alabama was going after Zach Frazier really hard, and Zach Frazier had a chance to leave West Virginia. And just because these guys are West Virginia born and bred doesn't mean they can't leave if they get a better opportunity somewhere else. So I think you can't take that for granted. So you've got to step up, in my opinion, and make sure, if your Country Roads trust, and make sure Wyatt Milam gets his bag. Where do you have Wyatt Milam, or is he even on your list?
Oh yeah, he's my number 1 guy. And at the end of the day, the lines of scrimmage are where games are won or lost. It's the reason that Neil Brown was mad in the preseason whenever they were rated 14th, is because the line of scrimmage on both sides. And I think you can have the best quarterback you want, but without a left tackle or an offensive line in general, to me, you're SOL. I mean, look what Caleb Williams had to go through this year, or Shadur Sanders. Shadur Sanders he proved himself a lot this year as a quarterback to a lot of people. If they were able to protect him, they were in almost every game. Mm-hmm. The games they weren't able to protect him, they were in trouble. And he's a mobile guy, not as mobile as Garrett. So, but mobility doesn't always save you, especially with teams that are smart and know how to box in a mobile quarterback. So, to me, I think the offensive line you focus on, they're both as important as the other. You're really splitting hairs getting into which is more important. But especially when you have a right-handed quarterback, your left tackle is extremely important.
Right. Third on my list is something I got a feeling you and I are going to disagree with. I actually have the running back position here, and I know you may not agree with having him number 3, but I think because I went back and forth on this, but where I landed is, if this is going to be a run-heavy football team, you've got to always have a great to elite running back on the roster, right? Or at least very good running back, because that's what you want to do. And if you can't do that, and if that's your identity, you've got to be able to do it. In order to do it, you need a good running back, along with the offensive line, obviously. So I think you have to make sure that you keep Jahiem White and or C.J. Donaldson. Now, where I have an issue, or where I'm struggling with, is which guys is the one to make sure you keep, because you may not have enough money to keep them both happy. So 2 questions for you, Paul. Number 1, is the running back that high of a priority for you? And 2, if it was, would you pay Jahiem or would you pay CJ?
I think you find a way to get them both happy. I think the trust, especially if this team wins 9 games and goes out with a bang, will have enough support to keep the majority of these players. And you got to have 2 running backs. You got to have 2. You can't have 1. So it's just in this day and age, running backs aren't bred to go every now. They're just not. So I do just disagree with you that being the number 3 spot. I would have Tumas Remack there. I'm going straight down the offensive line. Get those guys solidified as a whole, however you want to do it. But you need to get both lines of scrimmage solidified. Then I'll start looking everywhere else. That's how I work personally.
That's fair.
And I work inside out. Now, obviously, we're not talking about going out into the portal and getting players. This is about what we want to keep, guys. So keep that in mind as we go through this conversation. It's not like we have a shutdown corner on the roster, because Beanie's probably gone, right?
He is gone.
Or Beanie's gone. Beanie's gone.
He is gone. And so is Ruffin, for that matter.
Right. So he's not really a shutdown guy. He just plays above his. He's an overachiever this year, I felt like.
But what my point was, both of your starting corners are gone.
Yeah. So it's not even worth having the conversation of who to keep, because we don't know at this point how good anybody is.
Right.
The guys haven't really played a lot. So, if we had a shutdown corner on the team, I would say, boom, yeah, make sure you keep that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have a conversation about Aubrey Burks because he can come back one more year, right?
Great point. Yeah.
So he merits a lot of discussion, although he did not have the year that most of us thought he was going to have. Now, the injury could play huge into that, and I want to make sure I give that proper care. That one's up in the air, and I don't know where you land with Aubrey, but I would say he's got to be a high priority to keep just because of continuity. You want to have as many players back on defense as you can. But for me, I want to get at least those two guys on the offensive line back. And then if you have some attrition, hopefully it's at the other spots. Because for me, those, even though Brandon Yates performed extremely well this year, most people will say he was one of the best. He might be the best pass blocker on the team this year. Some people think this is a run heavy team, and those are your two best run guys. So to me, those are the guys you look at on offense first. Traylon Ray, guys like that didn't do enough. Yeah, maybe people will want them, but to me, they didn't have the kind of season where you're wringing your hands like, oh my God, who's going to come get them? You know, I mean, they're freshmen. They're freshmen. They have a lot of upside and all that, and maybe for that reason, people will come after them.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other players with way more production on. You know, when you look at this, just the stat number, that teams will be going after first.
I actually disagree with you on that one. I do think I actually had Traylon Ray and or Rodney Gallagher number 4 on my list.
But they haven't proven anything.
Well, no, but
look at their numbers.
But you have to have. To me, you can't go by just numbers because they're only true freshmen, and they didn't. Rodney hasn't even polished his. I would actually put Traylon Ray ahead of Rodney right now, just because he's actually played the wide out position, where Rodney's been playing more of a. I mean, he's playing slot, but he's not been running routes. He's basically been running reverses and jet sweeps and those kind of things, because his route running still has to be polished because he played quarterback in high school, right? So he's still a work in progress as far as an actual wide receiver goes. Well, Traylon Ray is actually playing wide receiver already and has shown he can do it at this level. He just needs more snaps and more reps, and he needs to physically get a little bigger. But I think the future is really bright for him. So I actually have him on my list as a guy you target and try to keep, because if not, you've got and this is no disrespect to these guys. They've put up good numbers, but you've got Preston Fox. You know, he's a good he's a guy you look to make a big catch for you, big play, but he's not going to, you know, he's not your big play guy. He's not going to be a number one receiver. You need a number one receiver, and I think Traylon Ray can be that guy. Now, you may argue that you can go out and get one out of the portal, maybe that's a fair argument. Is that what you would rather do?
Well, I mean, Colorado, look what they did. They targeted all skill positions in the offseason. They're one of the worst teams in the country. You know, you can have skill position all you want, but to me, you don't win games there. You win games in the trenches. And Tomiwa Durajayi is a guy I look at. He's still got a lot of eligibility ahead. He can't transfer, so you do have him locked up. But you still want to do him a service and pay that man because he's worth it. And the guy will sit out, you know, if they think they're worth the money. You continue to look at other guys. Sean Martin's got another year of eligibility. You can look at Sean Martin as a guy.
And I actually have him on my list as well as a guy you need to keep. So Sean Martin is on my list because I do think you need to shore up. To me, I do agree that you need to shore up the lines, and he's your best returning lineman and defensive lineman, in my opinion. So he's the one you need to keep. And he's also going to be a senior, so he's going to be a leader on that team, and they'll need his leadership up front. So, and he also, I think, has an opportunity to be potentially your highest draft pick from that side of the football. So I think it's important. That's good for the program as well. So I do think it's important to keep Sean Martin locked in because, again, yes, he's a West Virginia guy, but you cannot take that for granted. There are going to be schools who want a guy like Sean Martin with his size, his length, his ability. There are guys out there who want a player like that. I mean, we don't forget he had committed to UNC already before he flipped to West Virginia, right?
Right.
So he might still be on their radar. So we cannot
no
take
doubt
that for granted. So I do definitely think Sean Martin is a guy that you have to try to keep on this roster. And I didn't have Aubrey Burks wrote down on my list, but I do agree with you that he's another priority. Do you think you should make a priority to. Are there any guys at the linebacker position?
Oh, Travis Lathan, he should probably be in your first 3 or 4 guys.
Agreed.
You know,
I agree with that.
So because we're going through this, it's not like I didn't come into this with a list. So I just came into this to kind of spitball. I didn't think to make a list.
No, it wasn't necessary. I just did it from my own. And it was one I made in like 30 seconds, so it wasn't like I put a lot of thought.
Right. So, but I mean, as we go through this, let's just pause for a second. I mean, we reserve the rights to redo our list if we want to, right?
Absolutely. This is
just like just like any coach. Like we were in a meeting room brainstorming, and let's say we had the power to keep these players, we would say, "Hold on a second," So
yeah,
I think Trey Lathan, for me, after you get past, let's say, the nucleus of Tomas, Wyatt, Garrett, and on the defensive side, he's number one for me, right?
Okay.
And Sean Martin, right next to each other, because it's just flat out true. Without lines of scrimmage, you are nothing. You will be nothing. I don't care how good your skill talent is, or how good your corners are. Without defensive line, without offensive line, you can only go so far, and that's just, I always have to remind myself of that. There's shiny, pretty toys, but Alabama wins it almost every year with the line of scrimmage, and that's just, I have to remember that.
Georgia too. Look at Georgia.
Yeah.
Look how good.
I mean, we're never going to get those kind of players.
No.
But
we might be able to get one here and there, but we're not going to get them on a consistent basis year in, year out. You're right.
But like Tommy, I really do think he has the potential to develop into not something really special, and he's only a redshirt freshman this year. And he's really had his moments where he's just bigger, stronger, faster than the guy ahead of him. Another, give him the off season, and next year, man, and we've got him locked up, because he's already transferred once.
Yeah.
So that rule actually helps us for once. And some other guys, so it's, the future is pretty bright at spots for us, and grateful for that. But don't think that teams aren't looking at Josiah Trotter just because he's never played it down. Remember, he was not the most impressive linebacker in camp. It wasn't Travius Lathan. It was Josiah Trotter before he got injured.
Yep.
So people were more impressed with him than Trey Lathan, and we saw what he did.
Yep.
Now, does that transfer to the field like it did with Trey? Maybe not. But I just, you got to convince those guys that they're special as a group, along with Ben and James Hurd Jr., and just to sell them on the potential of that.
Right.
You can break it up and maybe make an extra 20 or 30 grand. I don't know what you get offered. Or you can stay here and get on the NFL radars, and to me, that's worth more. Do you want to go somewhere where you're a big fish in a small pond, or do you want to go somewhere where 2 or 3 big fish live alongside each other? Everybody gets recognized. It's not like they don't in football. There's more than one scout, for the scout views the whole thing, not just one player.
Right. No, I agree. And as we're talking through this, Paul, like I said, I made my list extremely quick. Didn't put a whole lot of thought in it because I wanted it to be a free flowing conversation. But I actually think I would change my list and put Aubrey Burks and or Trey Lathan ahead of the wide receivers position on this list because, again, not that wide receiver is not important, but I said earlier in my argument about Jahiem and CJ that we're a run-first football team. So if
I was going to use that against you.
Yeah.
I was going to use that against you.
I kind of contradicted my own argument there by having a wide receiver slot on my list. So I now realize that. So I would actually, not that Traylon Ray's not important or not good enough, but I'm just, I'm doing this with an assumption that there's only so much money to go around. You can't keep everybody happy, right? So that's the assumption we're doing this under. And I think if you have to pick and choose, I'm taking Trey Lathan and Aubrey Burks probably both over my wide receivers.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll be able to go, just like this year, they were able to go get Devin Carter out of the portal, right? I think there will be a lot of wide receivers in the portal to choose from. So
they'll be productive guys out there.
Yeah. So I don't know that. And if you're confident you can get one, then maybe you don't necessarily spend a whole lot of money on keeping any of your receivers that you currently have.
Well, what we don't have coming into last year that we do coming into this next coming year is Garrett Greene was nobody. He was the 69th rated quarterback, according to some outlets, right?
Yep.
And so you're going to these receivers saying, play alongside of Garrett Greene. And they're like, who? Hey, you want to play alongside Garrett Greene? His first year as a starter, he had X, Y, and Z numbers. Possibly Big 12 quarterback. It could be a player of the year candidate coming in next year. You can sell them on something now. He's a deep ball thrower. Are you fast? Can you get by people? Because that's what we are, a play action shot team. Can you run by guys? And so all of a sudden you get an EJ Horton type player that has been really productive. No offense to EJ, but he hasn't exactly done anything with his speed worth a ton of mention yet. He has made some plays. Don't get me wrong. And I do think that there is a possibility of him to really break out if the work is done. But imagine having a guy that's, for lack of a better person off the top of my head, Winston Wright, who's had a big season, that faced some attrition at Florida State. Maybe he wants to come back or something like that. A guy that's, that can really take the top off and you'd be really glad to throw to. And if, Couz, if I had it my way, I would love to have a big piece of poster board with all the players that we brought in that have already transferred once in a pile so that we can look at those and then everybody else, right? So that we knew because I'm sitting here trying to think like Cole Taylor, Tomiwa, obviously the guy that walked on senior day, but he could come back possibly that was dancing. What was his name again?
Hawkins.
Day Hawkins. Guys like that, Mike Lockhart. But guys that still have, Zaki Lawton should have eligibility left.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
But he's already transferred once.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about walked on senior night. Sorry. I got lost in translation. But yeah, just like him. Guys that already, Hershey McLaurin, whether or not he has eligibility or not. It's hard to know because these guys just came in, It's weird, because in the past I've had it in my head like right immediately what year this guy is. But I would like to know all these different. That's important too.
It is important, absolutely. And
so one of the reasons I can't remember everybody.
One of the reasons I had Traylon Ray on my list though was because he's a Florida kid, and a lot of times kids want to go closer to home. But I'm not sure if they want to move closer to home. I'm not sure money's going to keep them there anyway. So again, that's probably not a good reason to have him on the list. One last question, Paul, and then we'll call it. That'll be the end of this episode. But there are a lot of fans on social media who are saying, "Hey, they need to go out and do whatever they need to do, try to entice Zach Frazier to come back for one last year because of the COVID year, he does have an extra year of eligibility." I don't have him. I haven't mentioned him because I think he's already made his mind up that he's going to the NFL next year. So I don't think there's any reason to even bring his name up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I thought they were operating under those pretenses. Obviously, he would be, right there with 1A, 1B, whoever. I mean, however you want to put it. If he was on the list to come back, then you're having a whole nother conversation. You've got to get them all, though. You can't. To me, you got to sit the three of them down if you're going to try to do this and sell them on a special season again. But from what we understand, and even Jed said it in his interview with David Smoke yesterday on 365, two things he said: Zach Frazier's gone and Wyatt Milam's coming back. Jed Drenning did say that on the show, so I think he would know. But
agreed.
As far as I'm concerned, and if it's going to cost you what we were told it, was offered to him again, then you can't do it. Unless you got more money than I think you got. If you can do it, you can work it out and still get everything you want. Absolutely. Do you break the bank for one player? No, you do not.
Yeah. Yeah, and
obviously.
and I think they trust, and Brandon Yates is not Zach Frazier. Zach Frazier is one of those once in a decade or once in a couple decades center that we get here at West Virginia, right? Like the Tyler, or I'd say he's better. Well, he's better than Tyler Orlowski, but he's like a Dan Moses, once in a decade or once in a generation type guy.
I say
But-
he's better than Moses only because
And-
he's going to play pro for 10 years.
and he may be. I'm not a good enough evaluator of linemen to really even get into that conversation. But
Dan was a system guy,
right.
good college player.
Yeah, but where I was going with it is I think they trust Brandon Yates to play the center position because he
If
got
they
a lot.
have to.
He got a lot of work there in the off season, in fall camp. He's even played it some in games this year when they were in blowouts and they wanted to get him some snaps there. And he's a guy you can trust because he's a 3 or 4 year guy. So, and who knows, there might be other guys on the roster too that can snap the ball and play center. So, but he's just one name I brought up because he's probably the most likely candidate there to replace Zach at that spot. Again, not saying Brandon Yates is as good as Zach Frazier, but if you can shore up the other line spots and just get a guy there who's good enough or a good player, I don't know that you need a Zach Frazier to be successful, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, we ran. Why did we run split belly so much this year? Because Zach Frazier.
Right.
That's why.
You can scheme around it, basically.
You can scheme around it if you've got Dante Corleone's probably going to whip every 8 out of 10 centers we got. So we just happen to have Zach who could hold his own from time to time, and even still got beat some.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. I mean, that you scheme the offensive run where your strengths are. Obviously, that would be the left side coming into next year. We at least hope. But they've known this was coming, and that's why a guy like you said, he can play all 5 spots on the line. He has played all 5. He's played center, guard, tackles.
Yep,
he can do it all. So guys like Jaquay Hubbard. Guys like Nick Malone, those are going to be important pieces coming into next year too. And you have to sit down with all of them, But the nucleus of linemen we have right now and guys like Johnny Williams coming up, I honestly don't think we go out into the portal, but maybe we need one guy. If you go out and you see an elite guy out there, like we missed on the kid, the transfer from Houston.
Yep.
Which, can you imagine what their offensive line would have looked like this year?
Really?
They had a guy that went to Miami. Remember that right tackle, Jarrah, however you say his name.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, they got the best left tackle in football in Patrick Paul. So, but yeah. So anyway, if a guy like that comes available, you got to grab him up.
Right. Agreed. Well, Paul, real quick, man, before we sign off, tell everybody where to find your work. Most people probably already know who you are, but just in case.
Yeah, Mountaineer Paul talks football. It's pretty easy. I made it rhyme for a reason. Hopefully people remember. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Yeah.
Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. In the Couz household, they get to rub his head every Thanksgiving for good luck. That's what I was told. But yeah. And also at Paul Mountaineer on Twitter.
Yeah. And I've got, for those of you watching, I've got at Paul Mountaineer, obviously his Twitter handle up on the screen now. You can find me at Couz206. Guys, we're recording this on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I've got 30% off. There's 30% off in my merch store today only. If you've been wanting to buy something from my merch store, today's a great day to do that, whether it be for yourself or if you want to buy. If you have a family member who loves the show and wants some Couz's Corner merch, and not everything over there has my logo on it. Some of the stuff is just really cool, like West Virginia versus the world. I've got the Jack Daniels design with the West Virginia theme. A lot of different things over there to choose from. That's not necessarily a Couz's Corner logo that could work for anyone, other people in your home, even if they're not a fan of the show. Also, I've got the Fanatics link in my description box. Fanatics is having a 30% off sale today as well. You can click the link. The link will take you to the custom NIL jerseys for West Virginia players. You can select the jersey for your favorite player. It'd be a great Christmas gift for a family member who loves West Virginia. But you don't have to buy that item. That just gets you into the store. anything you buy during that shopping session, I will get a small commission. It's an easy way to support my show and get yourself some Christmas gifts for family members, or hey, if you want to splurge and buy something for yourself. And if you buy that, the jersey, it's also a way to support your favorite Mountaineer players. Also, guys, you can join the channel. I had shout out to my newest VIP member. It's Dustin Saltz. Thank you, Dustin, for becoming a member of the channel here at Couz's Corner. And then a shout out to two club level members, Mike Rayner and Beers Sports Lounge. Thank you both for your support. Again, guys, don't forget to go check out Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Also, check out our basketball channel, Hoops from the Hills, where we cover West Virginia basketball. And I have a website called Couz'sCorner.com. A lot of great articles over there by my writers and a few that I've done on my own. So go check that out as well, Couz'sCorner.com. It's also a place where you can find all of my work in one place, and as well as some of the Hoops from the Hills content as well. With that being said, guys, we thank you again for tuning into this episode. Until the next one, have a top shelf day. Q Country Roads.